Hello, and welcome to Golden Colour, the home for all things animation and video games. Today, we're going to be discussing the Switch 2, or whatever it may be called.
Maybe.
We're going to be going through specs, what we think it's going to be look like, what technology it's going to have inside it, whether it can compete with today's market, and really what would make us buy a Switch 2. So, Tyler.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rumours circulating around the Switch 2. And I think I'd like to go off the bat and say that this year, in comparison to what we'll be getting next year, seems like a vastly quieter year in gaming. So I think Nintendo have got, without being like one of those generic chronically online memes, like they've got the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever here and release a Switch or do something good here. Like, obviously the Switch has been nothing but a success. They've probably dropped one big major title every year and it's done fantastically. Obviously last year we had Tears of the Kingdom, 2022 they had Scarlet and Violet, as well as Legends Arceus. The year before that, I can't remember now, we're going too far back, but obviously we've had like Animal Crossing, Mario everything Kart. And they've Mario Kart, Breath of the Wild. It was a big console, and there's they continue to be a top selling console. I think they're still like selling a lot of units each year, which is good to see. I think off the back of the Wii U, the Switch has been phenomenal, right? But on the other hand, this is a 7-year-old console now. It will be its 7th anniversary this year, which is a long run for a console these days. Especially Nintendo, you don't get console life that long in this modern day. I think there's already people talking about a PlayStation 6, and I'm sure the next Xbox as well. So yeah, I think I'm happy to just see Switch continue as it is. Like, there's nothing. I think it is the perfect console. If you were to ask me what I would want from it, I just want a much more powerful console. Like, Nintendo are not a company that can't afford it. Like, they can afford to manufacture a powerful console. I think it's high time that they do. I'm not saying run a 4K console, but I am saying run a console that can, or have a console that can run some powerful games. Like, if you turn around to me where, oh yeah, Red Dead 2 is coming out on the next Switch, I'd be like, happy days, I want to see that. Obviously, Red Dead's just come out on the first, or the original Switch, and it wasn't great. Like, it's performance-wise, it's not great on there. So I think, but that is testament to how old this console is now. So I think for me personally, I'm just looking for a lot more performance. What about yourself?
I would agree. A good sort of trial run for that was the new Mortal Kombat 1 that came out. When that came out for consoles, looked phenomenal. But when it was ported over to Switch, it just looked dire. It looked horrendous.
Yeah, I don't think it looked too bad. It was never going to be up to the scratch of like a PS5, PC, or the Series X, was it? Let's be real.
But if it's not going to be in that like remit, then why bother? Like, if your game looks phenomenal, and it did look phenomenal on PS5 and Xbox, then why bother with it? Because you're just going to get the hate. And I think that for me, Nintendo have taken note of, should have taken note of that. And yes, they need to be putting out a console that can match the performance of the Xbox and the PlayStation, but I do think they should still keep the portable mentality. I think that really is like you say, there's a textbook move. It does set them apart from every other console. But like we were saying, I was talking about it off air. I think that they should have a powerful handheld console that you can take anywhere, like a Steam Deck, and then instead of coming home and just having a docking station, you have something that boosts the power of the actual handheld to make it on par with a Series X, Series S, or a PS5, so that you can play these games and you can have that comparator. You can still play, Cookie Mama if you want, and have that sort of fun party game lifestyle, but then you can put in Doom Eternal and it'll look like a PS5 game and play it just as well and keep the motion controls in there.
I can't see them going for the dock again. I think...
Interesting.
The dock isn't hasn't failed. The dock, I mean, it's
Mm.
seamless, right? It's there's no lag between it as well. As soon as you're in, it's on the telly, right? You know, it's as quick
Yeah.
as your telly can be, right? Um, I would agree. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a case of it kind of almost like you mirror a console or something. I don't know. I just can't see them going for that deck thing again. I think they need to have something to because Nintendo do change it up a bit. I hope they don't go down the Wii U route
Mm.
again because that was. I mean, we all know that was. I mean, it's not even a bad console. It was just not executed properly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if I want the dock again because I'd quite like it to double up as a bit of a controller. Maybe do like a like the thing I always wanted, and I think the Wii U were intended to be. It was like a giant DS. Sometime,
Mm.
you know.
What about the new what is it called? The PlayStation handheld thing that came out, where you
The
get like a
remote play.
docked console, which is like, yeah, the big like screen thing. Where instead of like you'd get like a proper console, not something you can lift up just like an Xbox or whatever it is, but like a Switch version of it. And the remote play is these little screens that you play on, and that's what makes it portable, but not like fully portable where you can just like, oh, interesting. Actually, what if actually the controls themselves are the portable side of it, and they have little screens on,
That's what I
and
mean. Yeah,
and you can
yeah.
take them out, and you've still got a console at home that's got all the power on it, but you can take these out, and they've got a battery life of like 8 hours.
Yeah, I guess I think the only reason I say that because there's two sides to it, right? The pro is with having a dock, you've got something that's charging it. The downside to that is you've got something that's constantly charging it, right? So if you're
Mm.
docking it and you're playing a Switch, I don't know, let's say I sat here and played my Switch for 12 hours. Don't recommend that. Like, obviously, you know, to each their own.
Posture, everything, yeah.
I want it on air that I do not encourage people to sit and play consoles all day, every day. But let's say hypothetically I do. I say hypothetically like I haven't done that in the past.
But don't do it going
know,
forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, new year, new me, guys.
Yeah.
It's you're constantly putting power into a console, and so then when you go for the handheld version of that console, it's just going to the battery is just not going to be where it was when you first got the console, right? So I think having something where it's not plugged in, or at least if it is plugged in, I have the option to unplug it and still be able to play it on the screen. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, I think that because it just like the battery on my Switch is not where it was when I first got it, which is a shame.
Oh, yeah,
and I get
100%.
he's 7 years old, mine. So
Yeah.
you know,
I think for me, like I was saying as well, fair that I think there's two sort of sides to this. Like since the Switch has come out and dominated, there have been rumblings that it's not selling as well as it did, and that's just general as time's gone on. It's 7 years, it's not going to be selling one of the biggest selling consoles. It has.
I mean, it
made
had a
money.
good run, especially with
It
COVID.
did.
I think COVID massively helped it.
Yeah. And since that time, we've had the Steam Deck, from PC. We've got, Valve's offerings. We've got, MSI have just released a new one that's coming out called the Claw, and they're all going for that sort of like portable Switch power. But they're very much like, we've got a powerful handheld console that is a brick, and it's got a big old screen on it, and you can take it anywhere, but you can't dock it, and that's the thing that separates the Switch. Like, yes, okay, give me a portable Switch console, but like, if people are able to give me a really powerful handheld console, the Switch needs to have the best of both worlds, or make a really powerful Nintendo console and ditch portable altogether. I don't think they should, because I like the fact it's portable. I don't think they would at all, but you've got to sort of like roll with the times, and you've got to see where you're going with it. And I think that this shouldn't be just like Switch 1.5. It should be something brand new. Like, it should be like something we've never seen before. And they've got, like we said, they've got that Nintendo money. They can definitely play with the big boys. And, I definitely think that they can come out of the gate with something truly special. I just think that they just need to read the room more with like what's come out, what's more retained. But like, yes, you get high performance PC with a Steam Deck, but you pay a lot of money to get that.
Hmm.
And also the pricing of the Switch as well is also very affordable compared to other consoles as well. And they need to find out where their place is, which I think is like a mix of party games and serious games. What do you think?
I think they should stray away from party games now a little bit because I mean I know people like loved Mario Party, but like Mario Tennis came out, Mario Golf came out, Mario Soccer came out, like all these games came out on the Switch, and I mean I'm only one person, but I and many others that I know have a Switch. I don't think even got them. Like I've not played and have no intention on playing those games. I think the Mario and Sonic Olympic games as well. I'm always a bit like it was a gimmick. I had the first one on Wii, but I think that's because somebody bought it for me, and I remember thinking it's a bit boring, isn't it? Like once you've done it, it's like you've done it. I think for me, the Switch felt like they were trying to keep the vibe from the Wii because the Wii was very much a party console, right? That was its main thing, and that's what it sold on, and that's why everyone bought it. But that's because you had like Wii Sports, and I know they did like Switch versions of that. But again, I don't think I think things like nostalgia kept that alive. But then when people played it, it was like, okay, I don't really see why. Like, I don't really want that anymore. Yeah, I think they should stray away from the party game. I think I want to see more serious titles. I mean, look at how well, Tears of the Kingdom did. The second release, and it came at the back end of the console. Like, it does very well. Like, Animal Crossing probably was the biggest selling game of 2020, maybe. It was up there anyway. It's definitely up there with one of the best selling games of the year. I think people don't really want the party games, especially because we don't live in a couch co-op vibe. As much as I'd like to see couch co-op kind of come back and make a huge comeback, and we are seeing drips of it, it's never going to be what it was when we were younger because there's no need for it. So yeah, I think it's time the Switch Nintendo kind of come away from the party games, keep the charm of like, Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Metroid, the games that make Nintendo what they are. But I don't know. I don't think their party games can be selling as well as they surely think they must be.
Yeah,
or they
I
would.
think.
I think the only exception to that is Mario Kart and Smash Bros.
Yeah, I think, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I think in my own opinion, I think that the Switch itself is not a hardcore console, and I think that I think for me personally, I think they'll carry on that. Like, if you want to play something like hardcore, like you'll buy a PC or you'll buy a console like a PS5 or an Xbox, and play your Call of Duties at 4K, 8K, whatever it is.
But we did have like elements of that though.
In what sense?
I mean, we were getting a lot more sort of mature titles, such as Hogwarts Legacy,
Yeah,
Red Dead.
I'd be interested
Skyrim.
to see like you just off your favorite game, Fortnite. Like, how many people play Fortnite on Switch versus how many people play Fortnite on console versus PC, and those numbers, like, I just don't see it as being a console that's taken seriously. And I think if they want to do that and be sort of like in that pro realm, I think that they need to come out with something that's has the beef and has the power. And looking at the rumors at the moment, there's rumblings that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct in February, and I personally, I don't know if Tyler agrees. Likely, I think that we're going to get an announcement for it then, and I'm about 80% sure it'll drop at the end of this year.
I mean,
it'll drop at the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Nintendo don't usually have massive gaps between their console announcement and because they announced the Switch in October 2016 and it was out by March, which I guess is 5 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is more than likely that they'll announce it. More than likely, but I could also see them
What
not
would
doing
make
it
you
because
buy it?
Nintendo have a. I'm a bit of a Nintendo loyalist. I am.
Fair.
I will probably get it. I have owned every console that they've made, bar the Wii U. Actually, I didn't get the Wii U, but that's because I kind of uni and stuff. I didn't really get it at that time.
Mm.
But obviously, I bought the Switch the day it came out, as well as Breath of the Wild. I've got pretty much all of their big games the day they came out. Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart. I didn't get Smash Bros, but again, I was in Australia, so I didn't really need it. But then I did get Pokemon Sword and Shield on the day they came out. All the Pokemon games I've got on release. I've got Tears on release. You know, I'm very much into Nintendo and a lot of their intellectual properties. I have faith in them because, you know, they learned their mistakes from the Wii U and they came back with a bang and made probably one of the best selling consoles of the back end of the 2010s, right? So yeah, I think I will end up buying it because I can't see why I wouldn't. I would like it if they did a big day one release again, though, like Breath of the Wild.
Would you like a remake? What's a remake? Or would you like a port of Tears of the Kingdom, or would you like?
I see them
Legend
doing
of
that
Zelda 3?
more than them doing a new Zelda game in a year. I can't see them having a new Zelda game by the end of this year if Tears only came last year.
Oh, true, yeah.
However, I could see them doing a new Metroid Prime game as a day one release because we didn't get one for the entire Switch run.
Yeah, still
and
working on
they've been teasing it for a while. And if they're going to release a console this year, it makes sense, right, to do a Metroid Prime game as a big day one release. That or the next Mario game, the next 3D Mario game.
Yeah. I'm holding out, like I said off air, Mario Odyssey 2, the best Mario game I've ever played.
You've clearly never played Mario Sunshine.
I haven't, no. And there's a which one's the one where he's a cat? Is that Sunshine? No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Is it where he's in the cat suit?
Yeah, it's banging.
Yeah. It's I looked at because I didn't realize how far
Tanuki.
the Mario Odyssey came out so long ago, but there's been a couple of 3D Mario open world games since that point. But Mario Odyssey for me was just banging. Like, you know, that would be like Mario Odyssey 2 was announced, Switch 2. I'd probably do a Django. You had my curiosity. Now you've got my attention. New Zelda. I
would like it. I reckon they'll do a port. So they'll do a port of Tears, probably add in a few features, make it, you know, show off the glitz and the glam of what a new Nintendo console can do. I do think
transfer across.
Yes, and they do that. They do have that option quite well with a lot of especially with, you know, within my Nintendo Online now. There's a lot of transferability, which I always quite liked about Nintendo. They kind of don't let you forget where you came from, really. I mean, like I've said in the past, I've got Pokemon on my current game that I've had since I was 6-7 years old. You know, there are Pokemon there that are older than people I work with. My Venusaur is older than most people I work with. So, yeah. I like that about Nintendo, and I would like that. I mean, to be fair, Pokemon Day is soon as well, and that's also in February. So, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be. I don't think it would be without the realm of possibility of it being like a day one release of a Pokemon game. That would be mad for me.
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, I could see Tears of the Kingdom getting a port, but I just don't know what they'd add to it. Like, I hear bells and whistles, but I hear like
a DLC
at the end
maybe?
of the Switch's life cycle, Possibly, but like at the end of the Switch's life cycle, they honestly, and I've never seen it with a studio. Actually, no, a lot of old PS4 games when the PlayStation 4 was finishing up, squeezed every ounce of power and graphical fidelity out of a
Yeah.
console, and they did that with Tears of the Kingdom. They've done that like with the
I feel
PlayStation
like
games, like Uncharted was squeezing every morsel of it out.
I feel
of
like
it.
Tears
And I
was
just
their
think
kind of swan song
yeah,
for
like where do you
the
go
Switch.
from that? Like because there was it really did play really well. Like I really didn't have any technical issues with it. Everything I needed to do, I could do. Like, I mean, if you've got more processing power, can you just build entire cities? With the I wanted to say God Hand. What's it called?
I think, like
What's the hand called?
Zelda. You are
What's the hand called in Zelda?
the hand.
Yeah, the arm thing when you get the thing to pick up logs.
Oh,
And
I
stuff
can't remember what it's called.
I call it God Hand, but it's not in it. I can't remember what it is.
I wouldn't mind. Like, I think what saves them with that high roll. I mean, there's a lot, definitely there's a lot more going on in Tears, but Breath, it's quite empty. A lot of it is quite empty. There's not a lot going on. It's not like you're gonna there's no big towns, and I think they could stand to
like
have
big cities
towns.
and stuff, isn't there? Yeah.
And I think that it's. I don't know if it feels like a cop out, but both Breath and Tears are set during a time where Hyrule was in ruins, and obviously Hyrule Castle is occupied by, Ganon, so it's a wasteland. So you don't really. There's no opportunity for them to kind of show off how powerful and how magnificent Hyrule could be. But I guess no one would probably want big cities in Hyrule either, because Hyrule isn't definitely that kind of place, is it really?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I just think I would like to see more powerful games. More powerful console, and then give the games that they have, more. I want to see some big stuff. I would like them to be on PlayStation level now. But
I
they haven't needed to so far, so I guess they might not need to.
They haven't. I do. I agree somewhat. I don't think they should have any more like ports. If your game's going to look like a PS5 or an Xbox Series X game, then fine.
Yeah, they need to stop porting games that came out 10, 15 years ago as well.
Yeah,
that's doing my head in.
Yeah, I mean, if you are gonna, if you want the Switch to be the home of the remakes, fine, fair enough, do it that way. I'll happily play Red Dead again on the Switch if it, looks like Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's not gonna. So what's the point? And even then, when we were talking off air about Red Dead Redemption, that's how old is Red Dead Redemption 2? Red Dead Redemption 1? That 15 years old, and it still played like a bad word on the Switch, and the Switch is considered a powerful console. Yeah, it played terribly. So it's just swings and misses. Like there are games like Breath of the Wild where it's showing off, the graphical fidelity. Mario, and even Mario Kart being an older type of game, they had that moment where they're like, oh, actually, we're going to give you. How many new maps was it? 4 each? 8. There was 8 things.
We've got 48 new tracks with
48 new tracks
DLC
for like 15, 20 quid. And they got released all the way through the year, and they're all banging tracks. Like
they're not really new tracks, though, are they? They're old tracks. Like I think it would be nice to get a new Mario Kart now, like with some new mechanics.
Maybe that's the day one release.
Oh yes. Give me a new Mario Kart. I'm ready. Yeah. Some new characters,
4K graphics.
Oh, give me it all, man. I want
the little hairs on Mario's mustaches is going like wisping in the wind.
Yeah, man. Like
Yoshi's got scales on his back, sort of like ultra real.
A new Mario Kart is needed, I think.
Yeah.
Because again, that was a port, but that was a port they put a lot of love into.
It was very,
which
very
is crazy.
Supported. Yeah, and it's still like it's one of them games like that it is like your side of it is like some of them are a bit of a fad or like a gimmick is the word I was looking for, like with like the Olympics, but like if I get people round, Mario Kart goes on. Shall we have a quick
Yeah,
couple
but
of tracks on Mario
I'd
Kart? And
rather
it's
Mario Kart is a very refined game that knows what it is. I think mechanically the game's like, or even like Wii Sports, like you knew what that was when it came out. Like it was a very simple game, and it worked beautifully. Like it didn't. I think Mario Kart, the Olympic game, a lot of the movements it was too complicated. A lot of the stuff you needed to do was too complicated. And then they just brought out too much. I think they overdid it. From the Switch for the Switch game for the new console game wise, I don't want to see any more age old ports. Because first of all, they didn't even port bloody Jet Set, which they should have done. I know it wasn't even originally on there, but they should have got hold of that. If you're going to port games like Jedi Academy, which is like 20 years old,
Tyler.
why? Or,
Tyler, you're getting a
yeah,
remake.
well, I'm getting a new Jet Set. Yeah, I'm
Come
getting no, I'm getting
Come
a
on.
brand new one. It's not a remake.
Yeah. I'm getting a brand new.
I know, but
It's all right.
I know,
It's coming.
I know.
It's coming.
But
they listened.
I want them to stay away from ports. I think when I remember when the trailer for the Switch came out and it showed that Skyrim was on there, and honestly, we should have seen that as a red flag.
Oh yeah,
because all we've had is just ports. And I'm like, for the love of God, there's no new games. Like I want new games. I mean, some of them have been great. Like I loved being able to play Borderlands on the go. Like, I'm okay with that. They've finally just got Borderlands 3 as well, which I'm a bit like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, honestly, that game's been out for so long. And we've obviously just had Red Dead last year. At that point, it was a 14-year-old game that we're getting on a console like that. I'm just like, nah, come on. Move on. Stay with the time. And the other thing is, a few party games, like, I don't need that many. Like, Mario doesn't need to actually play every sport. He actually doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got two questions for you.
Far away, my friend.
One is, do you think it still needs motion controls?
No. Right, we'll stick with first question. No, I'm not going to lie to you. I never use them on the Switch. Ever. And if I can turn them off in a game, I do. Because they had it in Breath of the Wild where you could do it with a bow, right? And yeah. Nope. Don't need it. Never will. Get rid of it. That was a thing we had in the Wii. I remember when I got the Switch. When I first got the Switch, I had Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch, right? Because that was the two games that you could get at that time. There weren't many. I played 1-2 Switch with a few of my housemates because I was still at uni. And one of my friends walked in and went, "Are you playing the Wii?" I went, "No, this is genuinely the Switch." So I was a bit like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's too reminiscent of that console. We don't need the motion control. I don't think anybody gets the enjoyment out of it they think they do. No one needs it on the PlayStation or the Xbox. So
have you seen that comedian who was talking about Switch? I can't remember who it is. I'll send you. I'll find the clip and send it to you. He's talking about the Wii, and he's like, when you first get the Wii, you're all into it, like, ooh, like Tim Henman, like batting it around, and then you realise you can just sit in the corner of your sofa eating a cheeseburger and just go like that, and it'll still do the same effect. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. I'm of the same. I don't like Pokemon Let's Go having the use my controller to throw a Pokeball. It actually breaks my soul that I can't turn that off anywhere. I hate it. I think they should ditch away from the motion controls. I just don't think it's refined enough yet. But I do agree. I do get why they have it for like party games, because it is fun to sort of like, bop your hand up and down, or like there's a Mario Party game where you've got to fry a piece of beef, and like I am a dab hand at that, and like I can see it being very tactile. Like some things are really good, some things are awful, and I do enjoy it. But my second question,
go on,
is how much do you think it's going to cost?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we're thinking about, when we're going, powerful game console, let's have it like, PlayStation 5 vibes. I'm thinking, this is going to cost upwards of 400 quid. I mean, 7 years ago, the Switch cost me 300 odd quid. It's going to be
say about 320.
Yeah, it depends. It really depends on whether they make a 4K console or not. If it's 4K, I would expect upwards of nearly £400. If it's not, I would expect probably back at lower end of 300. I don't think it will be less than 300. I think you'd be lucky to get a console for less than £300 these days. Considering I bought a Wii U for 315 and then returned it the next day. Because I know I said earlier I never owned a Wii U. I bought one and then returned it the next day because I was like, why did I just spend 315 quid on a console that I now can't afford? So I went and returned it. Yeah, I think we'll be looking in. I wouldn't say over £400, but somewhere between £300 and £400.
Fair.
And
Fair.
yeah, I don't need that. Nobody needs that. No. So yeah, the Switch 2 it's not even it's not even a code name. We've not had any whispers. Do you think it will be called the Switch again? Do you think they'll rebrand it?
If it's not got a dock, I would say they're not going to call it the Switch. Because obviously switch between dock and...
It's going to be the Switch U.
I think they should call it something like Maniacal. Like, I was talking off air about there's MSI's offering of handheld consoles. Their console's called the Claw. You know, that is such a
Claw.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what have you got? I've got the MSI Claw. Yes, lad. You know, the Nintendo Vengeance. You know what I mean? Something meaty and beefy like.
No, but they won't do
Switch
that.
is nice.
I mean, we've had Nintendo 64, GameCube, Switch, Wii, Game Boy, DS. Like, they're all very kind of like simple, short, snappy names, you know? So
yeah,
I don't think we'll be getting
Nintendo
that,
Dagger. You know what I mean? Something beefy. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm just like, it needs to really like not overpromise and underdeliver. I think it needs to sort of come out and be like, right, day one, you're getting 3 games. You're getting Mario Kart. You're getting Zelda.
You won't, though.
Tears of the Kingdom.
It'll be Zelda, some party game, and then something like Bomberman, like they did with friggin' Switch.
Oh, fair.
There'll be one of their big first party titles because I think they saw the success of that with Breath, and they'll do it. I think they'll do it again. Like Breath went on to be probably the best selling game of the year in 2017.
Any closing thoughts from you, my friend?
I guess just from me, let's hopefully we get that announcement next month. It would be nice to have something to look forward to, because I think in terms of gaming, 2024 is looking a little bit bleak.
So is cinema, to be fair.
But no,
everything is. I think 2024.
I mean, everything. Pop culture is looking bleak this year. So I'm thinking that would be nice, and some big games coming would be super nice. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I want Nintendo to, up their game, make a more powerful console. People want that. I want it. What about you? Any closing thoughts, feelings, concerns, prayers?
Yeah, I want them to succeed. The Switch is a great console. It does gather a bit of dust, and I do break it out every now and again when I, want to play something and just like switch my mind off. But I do think they need to come out with something that's quite powerful. And I'm not saying I need 8K graphics and I need it to be a PS5, I need it to be a Series X. But like, I was thinking about this while we were discussing it, is I don't want it to be a PS4 either. I think I'd want like a PS4 Pro, like power level. I'd want it to be, if I'm spending upwards of £300 on it, I want this thing to be a beast. And I just want this to play games like I could play any other console, and like it could be something that I could take seriously and be like, actually, I bought Doom Eternal on the Switch because I get the same power as everything else and I can take it on the go with me, and that should be like the marketing strategy for it, is like you can play these really high-end games like Last of Us, like all these, that obviously not our console exclusives, but powerhouse looking games that you can take on the go with you and they still look powerhousey. So that would be my closing thing, and I think they can pull it out of the bag. They've just got to sort of,
Definitely.
get it together and
Yeah, I
just
think
drop it.
let's have 2024 be Nintendo's year.
Yeah,